devastated about my husband's wealthy-ish family's reaction to my first big gift for him. This morning, I approached the conversation with him in a way I thought would be calm and measured. My natural instinct isn't to confront, and so I set aside my frustration and tried to approach him with understanding and patience. I asked him if there was something about the guitar that upset him, the brand, its design, or anything else. I made sure to let him know that his family's comments, though perhaps unintentional, really hurt my feelings. It felt as though they were implying I had chosen something too basic or childlike, something that wasn't good enough for him. I explained that I had put a lot of thought and research into picking out the right guitar, its make, color, everything. I wanted his first experience with it to be nothing but positive, a special moment. When I shared my feelings, he seemed surprised. He didn't even realize that the family's remarks had made me feel that way. His response was an immediate apology, both for the family's words and his own. He explained that when he mentioned the brand, it was simply because he hadn't heard of it, nothing more. He reassured me that he loved the guitar and that it had all been about the whirlwind of the holiday chaos. That's why he hadn't played it yet. His words brought a sense of relief, though I admit I was still left with a lingering disappointment. I guess I'm just used to overblown reactions from my side of the family, where every little detail is analyzed and questioned. It wasn't about the guitar. It was about how everything had built up in my mind for so long, only to come crashing down in that brief moment. It's hard for me to put into words the frustration I still feel, a month later. The excitement that had been building in me for so long was abruptly dashed, and while I understand it's about the thought and effort, it still stings. But at the end of the day, knowing that he actually likes it makes the comments of others feel irrelevant. I come from humble beginnings. Poverty, really. Despite having a childhood full of rich experiences in terms of love, family, and memories, we didn't have much in terms of material wealth. Christmas was always an event we saved up for throughout the year. We got one gift to wear, one book, and one fun item. On the other hand, my husband comes from a wealthy family where Christmas was always a grand affair, each kid receiving $2,000 or more worth of presents under the tree without question. My husband and I have been together for 5 years and married for 2.5. We've worked hard to get to where we are without any financial help from his family once he became an adult. This year, for the first time, we were able to comfortably spend on Christmas. It felt monumental. For some time now, my husband had been saying he wanted a guitar. He'd never played before but often talked about it, expressing interest time and time again. But the finances just weren't there. After doing a lot of research, I found that beginner guitars were reasonably priced, starting around $150, and they could go up to $5,000 for top quality ones. I spent countless hours agonizing over what to choose, wanting it to be perfect. I ended up asking him to lower the budget for me so I could surprise him with a really nice gift, one that would hopefully be a step above what we could normally afford. My initial budget was $500, but I really wanted to make a statement. In the end, I settled on a guitar that cost around $900 Kiad, with an additional $200 or so for accessories. This was a huge deal for me. As a person who grew up without luxury, being able to spend this amount was almost surreal. But I did it because he deserved it. After all the sacrifices we had made to get here, I couldn't wait to see the joy on his face when he opened the gift. Christmas morning arrived, and the excitement in the air was palpable. We waited for his family to arrive before we could open the gifts. I was practically bursting with joy by the time our turn came, holding the guitar case in my hands. When he opened it, the smile on his face was worth everything. But then, it wasn't quite what I expected. "Oh, thanks, babe. Never heard of this brand," he said, his tone flat, not matching the enthusiasm I had been hoping for. I tried not to let it bother me. It wasn't about me, after all. His brother, trying to ease the moment, said, "Oh, it's nice. A decent cheap one to start out with." Then his dad chimed in, mentioning how he had played music in his 20s, adding that the brand was known for its lower-end models. He even said that they would be happy to chip in for a better one next year if my husband stuck with it. That moment felt like a gut punch. I tried to brush it off, thinking I was overreacting, but it stung deeply. I felt small and insignificant, as if all my effort had been wasted. It took me back to my childhood, when I would try to be excited about the one gift I received, only to see my friend get a MacBook and a trip to Disney. Those comments, though meant to be casual, had the power to make me feel inadequate. They impacted my husband too, I think, because he hasn't touched the guitar since, despite talking about it for so long. I guess I'm just venting. I feel so small right now, and I just needed to get it out. Update 1. After everything that had happened, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The sense of disappointment and hurt lingered in me, like a shadow I couldn't shake off. I knew I had done everything I could to prepare a wonderful gift for him, to give him a good start with the guitar he had always dreamed of. But now, I felt as if all my efforts had been undermined by the unintentional words of his family. They hadn't meant to hurt me, but it didn't change how deeply I felt the sting. I tried to convince myself that I shouldn't dwell on what other people said. After all, this was my gift to him, and what mattered more than anything else was that he loved it. Yet the more I thought about it, the more my frustration and anger grew. I had done this for him, to make him happy, but now I felt like nothing more than a fool trying to please everyone else. It wasn't supposed to be about their approval. It was about his joy, but their comments made it seem as if none of that mattered. It was hard not to feel small, as if my love for him and my effort to make him happy had somehow been devalued. That night, we sat together in the living room. He was playing with the guitar, but there was something in his posture, something in the way he strummed the strings that told me he wasn't fully enjoying it. His face was etched with a trace of sadness, and I knew he was trying not to show it too much. I could see the effect the family's comments had had on him. He didn't say a word. Instead, he played simple chords, as if he was searching for the joy he had once felt when he first saw the guitar, trying to reignite that excitement I had so carefully cultivated. I watched him, my heart aching. I didn't want to feel like I had to explain myself, to justify my emotions, but I also knew that we needed to talk about it. I needed him to understand that this wasn't just about the guitar, it was about me wanting him to have the best of everything. I didn't want this to become something that sat between us. Finally, I spoke up. Babe, I just want you to know how much it means to me that I could do this for you. It's not just about the guitar, it's about wanting you to have the best, always. He looked up at me then, his eyes soft, distant for a moment, before he gently spoke. I know, babe, you did something amazing. I didn't mean to react like that. But seeing how my family reacted, it made me feel like I needed to have something that matched up to what they give. The big gifts, the compliments, all of that. I just wanted to feel like I was doing something worthy, you know? It hit me then, the truth behind his words. This wasn't just about the guitar. It was about something deeper. It was about the weight of his family's expectations, the standards he felt he had to live up to. And in my efforts to make him happy, I hadn't realized the pressure he was under, the insecurities it created. I hadn't understood how those external expectations were affecting him so profoundly, making him doubt what should have been a joyous moment. I reached for his hand, and for a moment we sat in silence, letting the connection between us speak louder than any words could. You don't have to do anything to deserve me. You know that, right? You're already the one I want to build a life with. Nothing matters more than that. He smiled, a small but genuine smile, and for the first time all day, I saw him truly relax. Thank you, babe. I love you so much. We sat there together, quietly, just listening to the soft melody of the guitar filling the quiet room. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what came our way, we would always find a way through it together. It wasn't about the guitar or the comments or the expectations. It was about us, and that was enough. Update 2. What really gets to me, what really messes with my mind, is the fact that my upbringing was a bit of a paradox. I grew up in a situation that might have seemed wealthy on the outside, but it was all built on blood money. My dad had a solid career, a high-paying job, and bought life insurance that would have set us up for life. But then he died young, and all that insurance company could do was hand over a payout that felt like nothing in comparison to what he was worth to us. I would trade all the money in the world just to have him back. I remember how he'd gone from a high-paying job to becoming a professor because Despite growing up poor himself, he understood something so vital. Money doesn't define your happiness. He always said it didn't matter, but still, I never could shake the feeling that I had lost so much. I've dated women from all kinds of backgrounds, both poor and wealthy. And the thing is, context matters so much. It's not about the money or the status, it's about the connection, the context, and how you make each other feel. I remember one girlfriend who didn't have much, but she gave me something that stuck with me for years. She bought me a third-hand PS2 with Metal Gear Solid 3. It wasn't about the material value, it was the thought behind it. She listened to me, she paid attention to what I liked, and that made all the difference. The girl who handed me a PS5 didn't know a thing about me beyond the surface. The luxury didn't matter. It was the depth of the connection that made all the difference. Now, when I think about my own family, sure, there are people in it that are difficult. My brother, for instance, can be a real jerk. But you know what? I'd defend my wife, no matter what. She's my new family. She's the one I've chosen, the one I trust, and I expect her to be the mother of my children. She's my everything. If my brother doesn't like it, well, that's his problem. To me, love laughs in the face of bloodlines. It doesn't care about family drama or money. The world might tell you that the Rolex on your wrist matters, but honestly, a pair of socks with meaning matters more if you believe in real love. If you truly understand what love is about, a simple gesture can mean more than all the riches in the world. I know a lot of people like to joke around on Reddit, making light of things like marriage or gym memberships or whatever the latest trend is, but here's what I want to say. Please talk to your husband. Have that conversation. I hope he believes in love, OP. I hope he's able to admit when he's wrong so that you can forgive him. This moment can bring you closer if you both let it. You have the chance to make this situation something that strengthens you, something that brings you both the victory of deeper understanding. Because that's the thing about love. It makes what once seemed impossible, possible. It makes what once felt broken, whole again. Love isn't about perfection or money or anything superficial. It's about the choices we make, the commitment we give to each other, and how we rise above the little things that try to tear us apart. I hope you can see that. I hope you believe that, even in the toughest of moments, love is what lasts. Update 3. This is exactly how I feel. I come from a background of wealth, sensible, not ridiculous wealth, and I built my own after being thrown out at 18 with barely 10K to my name. So reading this story really set me off. The thing that bothers me is that their behavior is enabled by their wealth. But what we're dealing with here is much deeper than just money. It's about character. And what reeks from this situation is entitlement, pure and simple. In contrast, for my wife's family, I went out of my way to do something special. I bought passports for them and arranged plane tickets for a trip to visit us in Europe for Christmas. And what did they get me in return? A bag of beef jerky and some sweatpants from Target. At first, I'll admit I was a bit surprised, but then I took a step back and really thought about it. Her brother took the time to figure out which snack I liked. Her mother spent time agonizing over the size of the sweatpants, making sure they'd fit me just right. That thoughtfulness means everything to me. It shows how much they care, and I know they did the best they could. It's not about the value of the gift, it's about the thought and effort behind it. I couldn't feel more grateful for those gifts because they came from the heart. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's level of sacrifice is different too. If I were to dismiss their gifts out of some sense of superiority or entitlement, I'd feel mortified with myself. I couldn't imagine doing that. It's about respect and appreciation for what others can give, not measuring the worth of a gift by its price tag. What really gets me, though, is that I don't care at all about what they spent on me. I don't care if it's a little or a lot. And if they couldn't afford anything, that wouldn't have bothered me either. The most important thing is the gesture and the love behind it. My wife doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to, and she chose to spend a little money on me this year, though I'd asked her to keep it small. That money came from our joint funds, the ones I've put there because we share everything. But even if she hadn't spent a penny, it wouldn't matter. I don't need gifts to know how incredible this woman is and how much she cares for me. We show that love every minute of every day, not through material things, but through how we treat each other. This husband needs some serious self-reflection. He should be taking a hard look at himself, especially if price, brand, or the comments of others are affecting his feelings about the gift. And that's why I mentioned that I built my own wealth. He has no excuse. He knows what it's like to have it all and lose it all. He knows what it's like to struggle. He knows his wife's background and upbringing and should be able to understand that giving such a thoughtful and generous gift was a huge deal for her. If he truly respects and loves her, he should have an awareness of the immense sacrifice she made to give him something special. That alone should guide his reactions and give him some perspective. Honestly, I can't even imagine not immediately, joyfully, and passionately jumping into playing some chords on a guitar for my significant other. If my partner gave me a guitar, I wouldn't waste a second. I'd be too excited to even wait to check the brand. The thought alone of them giving me something they know I'll love would be enough. That's how much it means to me. It's not about the brand or the price tag. It's about the love, the connection, and the joy that comes with it. Update 4. Honestly, his response was just as bad. That "I've never heard of this brand" comment was downright rude and dismissive. There was no gratitude, no warmth, no kindness in his reaction. His wife had sacrificed so much to get him that gift, and instead of appreciating the thought, care, and effort she put into choosing something meaningful for him, he and his entire family just tossed it aside. It was like she was invisible, and all her sacrifice meant nothing to them. OP, you've got a serious issue on your hands. Your husband is acting like a spoiled brat who doesn't understand what it means to receive a gift that's filled with love and care. To him, it's not about the sentiment behind the gesture. It's all about the brand name and the price tag. That's a huge problem. You deserve so much more than that. At this point, he needs to wake up and see the real value of a thoughtful gift. If he's going to turn his nose up at an $1,100 present that his wife put so much thought into, then honestly, he doesn't deserve any gifts at all. You've shown him nothing but love and effort, and he's brushed it off without a second thought. If he continues like this, you might as well stop giving him gifts altogether. He's proven that it's not about the gesture for him. It's only about what's trendy or expensive. Let him go ahead and enjoy the show-off gifts his parents are throwing his way, while you focus on giving gifts to people who truly appreciate the thought behind them. If he doesn't like it, just point back to this incident and feign ignorance. Look at him, blink innocently, and tell him that after the guitar situation, you figured he'd prefer to choose his own gifts, since your choices are clearly subpar. Let him see how that feels. I'm really sorry, OP. What you did was incredibly sweet and thoughtful. It's just heartbreaking to see how ungrateful and dismissive he was. Update 5. Hey OP, I'm someone who owns several guitars and other musical instruments, so if you don't mind me asking, what brand and model did you get him? Now, $900 for a guitar is on the higher side for a beginner, and it's above what most people would typically spend on someone's first guitar. I'm mentioning this because honestly, I have a feeling that his family, even with their dad having played in his younger years, might not really know what makes a good guitar. Guitars have come a long way, and there are so many brands today. Manufacturing has become more cost-efficient, and even high-quality instruments can be surprisingly affordable. When you're looking at guitars in the range of $800 to $2,000, you're typically dealing with intermediate to advanced level instruments. The truth is, guitars tend to lose their return on investment once you go beyond a certain price point. Once you cross the $2,000 mark, you're often paying for minor improvements. And the difference isn't as noticeable unless you're playing at a very professional level. But hey, you don't need to share the exact model or brand if you don't want to. From what I can gather, you really did a great job in choosing a guitar for your partner. It's clear that you put a lot of thought and care into picking something special for him. People who come from wealth can often be a bit snobbish about brands and price tags, and that doesn't say anything about you or the gift you chose. What matters is the love and thought you put into the gesture, and that's something that truly counts. You did well, and I'm sure your partner will come to appreciate it in time, even if he didn't fully recognize it in the moment.